Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Red Steak, the stat time of the week, where I go over my NFL predictions for Week 4. So let's get started with tonight's Thursday night football game between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. The Seahawks are riding high after, beat down Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago and then New Orleans last week. The Cardinals are not riding high right now. Not only did they blow their lead against the 49ers, where all they needed to do was just complete a pass, and the ball was right in the hands of the receiver to complete a pass, that would have ended the game, and they couldn't. But not only did that happen, and they lost the game, but now their starting running back, James Conner, had an ankle injury that will keep him out for the season now. And I know Conner's not like a top tier running back like a Saquon or Gibbs and all that, but he is a factor. And to me, Arizona doesn't have good backups because there's some NFL teams that have good backup running backs, but I don't feel like that's the case in Arizona. So I feel like that'll be a big loss there because that maybe means Kyler Murray may have to run more, and that's not a recipe, that's going to work out since Kyler Murray has his injury history. I wouldn't want that. Um, so we'll see where the running coming from in this game in Arizona. But I think Seattle stops the run, and therefore Arizona has become one-dimensional in the pass game, and therefore Seattle can just do enough on offense to win the game. I have them winning 24-16. Um, then on Sunday you got a foreign game. You got the game in Dublin, Ireland, with the Vikings versus the Steelers. Even though the Steelers are 2-1, it feels like they shouldn't be. If their defense doesn't force turnovers, then they're not doing anything. And then offensively, they're not doing much better. I think the Steelers' offensive line will struggle against Minnesota's defensive line. So I think as long as Carson Wentz in the offense, for Minnesota, doesn't turn the ball over, then Minnesota should win and cover in a low-scoring game in Dublin, after winning 20-13. Next, you get the Chargers versus the Giants. This seems like the Chargers should win easily, despite Jackson Dart now starting for the Giants. If I were the Giants personally, I would have waited a week to start Dart when the Giants play the Saints next week. That's the game to start, not against Jesse Minter and the Chargers defense, which is one of the best defenses in the league. That was a little puzzling to me to make that move now in this game, but oh well. My only concern for the Chargers is that they have some more offensive line injuries, and obviously the Giants have a good pass rush, so that could be an issue there. However, even if the Chargers don't do a lot on offense in this game, the Giants' offense with the rookie quarterback making his first start, I don't feel like they're going to be able to do much either in this game. And so therefore, I have the Chargers winning 23-10. Next, you got the Titans versus the Texans. Someone's going to get a win here finally. Can things really get worse for Houston though? It could actually. Since Houston's offense is not good, the Titans can score some points. The problem is that for the Titans, their defense has been inconsistent. More importantly, the Titans are one of those teams that is just committing a lot of penalties. So I think the Texans will finally get their first win of the season because of that. But I will admit that the game won't look pretty for Houston though. I have them winning 20-16. Next, you got the Commanders versus the Falcons. The Falcons' offense, especially the passing offense, has been nowhere to be found this season. They're too reliant on Bijan Robinson, in my opinion. They're bringing the offense coordinator down from the booth onto the sidelines. We'll see if that makes any difference or not. Usually when teams get embarrassed one week, they usually bounce back the other week, unless they're just that bad of a team. But I don't think Atlanta's that bad of a team. So I expect Atlanta to play better. Marcus Mariota from Washington last week had a pretty good game filling in for Jaden Daniels. So I wonder if they're going to let Daniels rest again this week. So we'll see what happens there. Since I've liked what I've seen from Washington this season more than the Falcons, I will take Washington to get the close win and have Marcus Mariota beat his former team. I have Washington winning 20-17. Next, you got the Saints versus the Bills. I think the dam broke basically for New Orleans, to where now they'll show their true colors on how they're one if not the worst team in the league. So I don't think things get much better for them in Buffalo on the road here. So I have Buffalo winning 38-13. Next, we got the Eagles versus the Buccaneers, a battle of undefeateds. Tampa Bay gave Philly a butt whooping last year. The Eagles have Tampa to actually thank for that though, because ever since that butt whooping last year, in all the games that Jalen Hurts, started the game and finished the game, they haven't lost since then. And that was like week 4 of last year, so that was a long time ago. I think this would be a lot closer game this time around. I like that Tampa has been just finding ways to win close games. That's what you do in the NFL. That's what good teams do, like the Chiefs did last year. But with Mike Evans being out for right now, the Bucks' offensive line still not totally healthy. I think Philly's defense can take advantage of that. So I think the Eagles' offense knows it just needs to do just enough, to win the game. And I think that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do because that's what they've been doing so far this season. So I have them winning 20-16. Next, you get the Browns versus the Lions. I know Cleveland's riding high after upsetting Green Bay last week, but their offense is just a joke, and I don't think they can hang around with the Lions in Detroit. So I have Detroit winning 27-10. Next, you get the Panthers versus the Patriots. I'm not sure, honestly, what to expect in this game since both teams have been inconsistent. The Patriots at home are the better team and they should win this game. However, I think they will allow the Carolina Panthers to hang around and make it interesting. So I have the Patriots winning, but Carolina covering. I have Patriots winning 24-20. Next, you get the Jaguars versus the 49ers, or 3.5 point favorites here in an interesting game, low key interesting game. Can Mac Jones continue to just do enough to get 49ers wins? I we'll see. The 49ers defense has arguably been one of the best in the league so far since defense coordinator Robert Saleh has reunited with the franchise after leaving the Jets. Now, the only problem though is that now Nick Bosa is out for the year, so that's not going to be good for the 49ers defense. I think this will end up being a lower scoring game than one actually might think it would be. But I think the 49ers will find a way just to once again come up with a clutch win at home and win 20-19. Next, you get the Colts versus the Rams. I didn't expect this to be one of the top games of the week, but it is with the way the Colts have started the season. The Rams should have beaten the Eagles last week, if it wasn't for two blocked kicks, which, by the way, there was 5 blocked kicks in the NFL last week, and so it was just crazy weekend. So we'll see if that was just an outlier or something starting to happen now, or a trend starting to happen. We'll see. But I think that the Rams, can't afford to slip up and fall down 2-2 when they're in a division with the 49ers hot and Seattle hot. I feel like at home, coming back home, they're going to fix the field goal issues, I would assume, and they're going to win the game. Although it's going to be a close game, but I have the Rams winning 27-23. Next, you get the Bears versus the Raiders. This should be one of the higher scoring games of the week. I think it'll come down to the wire, but it may come down to just who has the ball last in this game. I feel like it could be that type of game. Since I like what I've seen for the Bears offense more than the Raiders offense, I'll take the Bears to get the road one at them winning 28-26. And then you got the Ravens versus the Chiefs. To think one of these teams in the AFC might start off 1-3 is just crazy. But to me, this comes down to the Ravens defense. I know they have some key injured players out last game, but if the defense that showed up on Monday Night Football shows up again, then it'll make the Chiefs offense look like the Chiefs offense of old, and that's not a good recipe for the Ravens. I feel like since the Chiefs have also just had the Ravens number over the years, I think the Chiefs, barely find a way to get the home win, either winning 28-27. And then Sunday Night Football, you got the Packers versus the Cowboys. Micah Parsons is back in Dallas, and he actually said that he's not getting from what I hear, he's not getting like a tribute video ever, which is kind of weird. I would have expected that, but oh well. So we'll see what happens in this game. I know Micah Parsons is going to want to show out, and I think this is just obvious surprise that my Cowboys win this game. CeeDee Lamb's out for a couple weeks, so the offense is going to be worse now, and the defense is already one of, if not the worst in the league. So I know the Packers struggled offensively last week, but I feel like they're going to definitely bounce back offensively this week. So I have Green Bay dominating. I have them winning 34-13. And then we got 2 Monday Night Football games. We got the Jets versus the Dolphins. Again, one of those matchups where our team will finally get their first win of the season. The bright side is that one of these teams, like I said, will get the first win of the season and kind of hopefully get like that monkey off their back that, hey, even though we've been close in a lot of games, like we can do this. I think both defenses, are bad for this, so I expect this to be more of a higher scoring game. I think if Miami loses this game, then head coach Mike McDaniel may be fired on the spot. You can't lose to the 0-3 Jets on Monday Night Football. This is a game you have to win. Therefore, I feel he can scheme up a way to get a win. I have Miami winning 28-24. And then last but not least, you get the Bengals versus the Broncos. This game looked on paper a couple weeks ago. This game's great, but not so much now. Cincinnati's offense looked awful with Joe Burrow out. Even though Denver has had some two heartbreaking losses in back-to-back weeks, this is the perfect game for them to kind of like get right against a bad defense and an offense that's had struggles to start the year. So I have Denver winning and covering 28-13. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel and tell them about me. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.